Just first of all, I just want to thank all you guys for coming here. I know it's Friday, Good Friday at that, at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So, what's yeah, I also want to acknowledge, obviously, we've all understood it's been a tough season. And I know it's been tough on all you guys to write about things every day. And wish I had better answers for you most nights, but I appreciate and the work you guys put into it. So I just wanted to, if I don't get a chance to, at the end of this, to say that, I just wanted to say it early.
First, I sort of just kind of just a question. Have you already met with all the players and kind of given them like kind of what's going on this summer and also the players too? Is that all already happening or is that?
I've spoken to all the players the last 2 days, as per normal. A little bit of exit where we broke down their year a little bit, talked a little bit, making sure that we're both heard and from both sides, and I'm listening and they're listening, and we're going to move forward. So yeah, I've done that with all the players.
Very soon.
Not yet, no. So we'll do that obviously sometime next week.
When it comes to that, okay, if you vary off the kind of the job status moving forward throughout the year, like what do you guys have already set for that?
Yeah, I'm here to coach. You know, love my job, love my team until I'm told otherwise. I'm going to continue to work and become a better coach. And I think I'm an extremely competitive person. Sometimes it doesn't always come out that way, but you know, and I think our group is an extremely competitive group, and we're not where we want to be. It was not from a lack of care or work. It just didn't happen. And myself and my staff, you know, we're going to go back to work. And I think we're going to take a breath. We're going to analyze, find out what we can do better, where we can do better, what went wrong. Don't have all the answers right now. I think for me, just clear my head a little bit, but I'm looking forward to finding solutions. You know, like I said, I played a long time, and my path wasn't the easiest path. And what I loved about the game probably the most was finding ways. And this is a great challenge, and I can't wait to start. And if I'm told otherwise, I feel very confident in my ability to continue that path.
I know you said you obviously don't have all the answers yet, but maybe just as you think of maybe some broad strokes in terms of what needs to change for next year, whether it's a system, et cetera, what are maybe some of the big picture kind of?
You know, I wish I had an answer. I think for me, I got to reflect a little bit. I'd be speaking probably not fully digest, you know, what went wrong or how it went wrong or why it went wrong. You know, there's lots of things to improve on for sure. I just felt, you know, we talked about a lot of the year with you guys that, you know, we got off to the start and we thought it'd be maybe a little bit too easy. We thought chemistry would come easy, and it didn't. And we worked really hard to try to connect a little bit better. I didn't think we were connected early. I thought we lost our structure a little early because we're chasing so many games, and we developed a few bad habits, and then frustration leaked in. And frustration is such a dangerous feeling, and it kind of leaked in, and it took us a while to get out of that. And unfortunately, by the time we tried to push out, we missed an opportunity to get off to a good start. So, again, I wish I had better answers. I think you've probably heard that. You're probably tired of the same thought, but that's where I'm at now. But I'll take a step back, absolutely. Self-reflecting, I think for me, individually as a player, as a coach, is a great thing. I think you find your best answers when you get away, you breathe, you think, and you'll find solutions. I know, confident in my ability, I've always found solutions as a player, as a coach, as a manager. It just takes a little time to see through the cloud right now.
Was there a point, Bruno, during the season where you got to the realization where maybe we can't pull the nose up, or did you remain kind of optimistic all the way through?
I think I remain optimistic, and I think I was very authentic in that. I try to win every game. I believe you can win every game, and that's what makes this game great, and that's why I'm still doing it. I love that, and I think our team talked about down the stretch. I think they cared. They never gave up, and that's probably the one thing we can hang our hat on. That we, you know, as bleak as it looks sometimes, we still gave the effort. And we're highly competitive. We got some very decorated players in our team that we're not going to stop, and they didn't stop, and I'm proud of that. And again, that's something we can build off of.
You guys are so wise to live
in it right now, the game in front of you, today in front of you, is it hard to see the big picture as it's happening? Is that just how to reflect? Can you see things more fully now than you can throughout the course of, okay, today matters today, tomorrow matters tomorrow? I would expect it to look, is it a more complete picture to you?
Absolutely. You know, we're in the grind, and the grind, unfortunately, with the amount of games we have in a short period of time, it's hard to really kind of get your head out of your butt a little bit at different times, right? So, or head out of the water, I guess you could say. To see it, probably both the same thing. To see it clearly, I think you have a good feeling, a good pulse on it, but I don't feel right now that I've digested it completely to have great answers for you guys. But I'll find them, and I will find solutions, and I'll find something that can make us better here.
We're another year down, obviously as coach here. Last year you talked about being a better listener, better communicator. Do you feel like that's changed for you this next year at all?
I think those skills you never really conquer them. You just try to get better all the time. I wish I'm a better listener. I wish I was a better communicator. I'm working on it. I'm aware of it. I think I've got good relationships with all my players. I think we feel we're on the same page for the most part. But I still think communication definitely something you continue to improve on every day. And that's just not in the coaching world. To me, that's in life, with my family, my wife, friends. Can still be a better communicator than I am. I could still be a better listener, like my sister always tells me. So.
With as taxing as this season was, how can this extra off time help you and the players kind of regroup for next year?
Well, I think, we talked about so much this year. I think the expectations were so big, and we carried, we've been talking to a lot of the players, and I think now, I think they need to take a step back, but a lot of them talked about the heaviness that was there, and we felt it. And there's no amount of saying it's going to be hard or you're going to feel it. You don't hear that. You don't hear it till you experience it. And we experienced it because I think words can serve you well. Sometimes words can kind of go to hell for all they can do, And I think I could say all those things, but till you go through it, till you understand, till you feel it, and then you take a step back and hopefully you learn from it with our group. I think that growth kind of mindset that we're going to need going forward, that we don't want to be here again. And we're a proud team. We got, like I said, some really great hockey players that have been through a lot of different things that have consistency, and they're not feeling good. But we have to learn why and how. And right now I don't have those answers, but I'm working on finding them.
So on top of that, there's a little bit of, talking to some of the guys, even though it just ended, there's already optimism and desire to get back. Got a whole summer in front of you, but is there a little touch already that, hopefully all our efforts are to get back?
Yeah, I think maybe as a player you see it a little differently. I think as a coach, you kind of know the end's coming, and there's days down that stretch where you're kind of looking forward to it, and then yesterday morning shows up and you feel sick. It's just funny how that goes. So it's hard right now to see the positives in the clouds, sort of thing where you're not seeing hand in front of your face right now. But in saying that, I'm very confident in the players that we have, the competitors that we have on our team, that they'll rebound, and they're not happy where we're at, and we're disappointed where we're at, and we'll find again they'll find a way to find the positives, because we're going to need positives, and I'm sure there's a bunch of them. I could, talk about the young kids coming. I thought it was great to see, Matthew Wood, and I was extremely happy to see Luke find his game at the end of the year. Zach LaRue is a good young player coming, So I think, Justin Barron took some big steps. So you could say that's positive. But for the rest of it, I got to let the air clear here a little bit to see it.
Andrew, what are your thoughts on Roman's health and I guess the number of concussions and the future, his future looking ahead to next season?
Yeah, I think for him, the number one thing is just get healthy. I feel talking to him, he feels he's in a good spot right now. He's improving. again, he's another really competitive guy that has a lot of pride, and he has a lot of pride in this organization, a lot of pride in his game. He's not happy where we're at, and I know he's going to give everything he has to get back to that level. And as for the concussions, I don't, really can't comment on that. I just, for me, it's more where he's at in his mental space and how he's feeling and where's his drive. And I feel he's an extremely proud athlete, and I feel he'll be back and he'll be ready to go.
One thing you talked about over the course of the year is how much you have kind of changed your system a little bit, especially offensively. Can you name something like specific that you think you changed from the beginning of this year to now that, this thing I changed made it a little simpler, or this probably is something that made it a little bit easier for them?
Well, I think offensively, I don't really feel, we changed a whole lot. Obviously, since the deadline, we've taken a big step back in a lot of our offensive areas. If you look pre-deadline, all the things that I think were important, we were a top 10 team, and besides execution. And that a lot of times comes with confidence. So I felt offensively we did a lot of really good things that we should have had better results. But it's amazing in any sport when you don't have confidence and you lose it, how hard it is. And so for us going forward, we need to find our confidence back, because we did enough to score more than we did by all the metrics and all the ideas where I think that are important. Slot driving, on net screens. Like we're top 5 team in a lot of those things. Even before the deadline, and we slipped a little bit, in all aspects of our offensive game, and we were a little bit better defensively and shot suppression and stuff near the end. Some of the tweaks we did were a little bit of the D zone stuff, a little bit on the breakouts, and again, I'll see if they worked or not. Some of them did. I think some of them, I think we made some more people comfortable that coming from different spots at times, and I don't know if that's a solution going ahead. But again, those are things I will be very diligent to look at, my staff included. Obviously, when we go through a year like this, there needs to be some adjustments, and I'll find the adjustments that are needed, and we'll work towards making ourselves better by some of those adjustments.
Some of that is year, from all, and what do you attribute that, how much that, and what do you attribute, I don't know if you're not, but what's your assessment?
I thought he was great early. And again, I said that a little bit, that we lost a little bit of our structure, because we're trying to score goals and we're chasing games, and we developed some bad habits, But I thought he was really good early. I thought he dipped a little bit. In a stretch, we started playing better. It was that kind of year, it just seemed if we plugged one hole, one slipped, and that's kind of the year it was. And I thought he finished really strong. And he was a byproduct of our game in front of him. We were way too loose. A lot of it, we were trying to score goals. It was hard to come by. And again, we developed bad habits, and we lost a little bit of our identity by doing so. And we give up too much free offense. I don't know how many times this year we sat here and talked about that was easy and that was free, and something we got to correct. And used, for Juice, unfortunately, he was the guy that had to bail us out a lot of nights.
Right, you talked about the frustration you guys battled through, and I'm sure that came from all sides, you and the players. How do you feel like you came out on the other side of that, and do you feel like you're on the same page with your corporate, your family?
I do. Yeah, I do. I think we've got good relationships. I think we've lots of communication. So I feel good. I think we as a group need to be a little bit more committed in saying that. And I think we understand that. I think to a man, at least talking to them, we feel that that's something we need to improve on. Probably have to be a little bit more selfless, a little bit more unified in certain areas. And then we got to find an identity, and that'll be our responsibility going into next year. And the one that we had, we kind of lost. And I'm a big believer that you can't just say a word, that's what we're going to be. Your actions will prove who we're going to be. And we're going to have to prove with our actions next year who we're going to be.
Steve, how much stock do you put into, when you say talking about locking yourself up and reflecting, how much stock do you put into talking to old coaches like Joel Quinville or someone like Terry, I guess, or just how much do you value, going back and talking just to coaches like that?
Well, very much so, and I'm lucky, surrounded with a lot of great mentors. One's my boss, and other ones are the guys that I work for, and Terry, of course,
Right.
Yeah. But I'm lucky. I'm blessed to talk to a lot of good people. So yeah, I mean, I'll start that process. I think I just need a little break, and unfortunately, my brain doesn't shut off, so I have to find a way to shut it off.
When you say committed, Andrew?
Be more committed moving forward here. Like, I'm sure you had conversations about that throughout the year. Did you see meaningful progress in that area as the year went on?
Well, it was such a hard year. I mean, I did see it through a stretch, and then we kind of lost it, and then the deadline came, and we kind of put ourselves in that position, and there was a lot of changes, and that was self-inflicted from us. So it was a really hard, year to gauge it. I think lots happened, and again, the expectations that were so high, carried so much weight on us, and then we became frustrated with it, and then we lost ourselves a little bit, and we became disconnected. And we've sat in here so many different nights and saying, it looked like us for 22 minutes tonight, or 40 minutes, and we just couldn't grab it and be committed to it for 60. And I think it's a byproduct of a lot of guys that probably aren't having the year they like to. Goals weren't coming easy. Frustration leaked in. And let's face it, it's a game, it's a team game, but there's times that we all need ours. And I think a lot of nights that, we were connected going in the game, or we had stretches of it, and then it became a little bit, we lost that little bit of that selflessness, and probably weren't committed to the team game or unified in the team game enough. And that's our responsibility here to try to figure out an answer to that. I think it comes in all kinds of different forms. I don't think it was by maliciousness that didn't happen. I think frustration leaked in. And when frustration leaks in, I think you always point outward, not inward. And I thought we pointed outward a little too much, and it affected our connectivity as a group.
When you said, if I'm asking the same question, Robbie, is ignore it. But when you say a little bit more commitment, can you elaborate on what, exactly commitment is?
Well, I think commitment comes in all kinds of forms. For example, shot blocking, we weren't blocking shots. It's a simple form of commitment. We were, not a great shot blocking team, which fortunately that's part of our structure. And then commitment in things, when I say easy offense, where we're giving ourselves up looking for the offense, and we're not committed to the other side of the puck. And I thought that happened, too much this year. And I think things that I talked to Robbie about were very similar, where we were pushing to score goals, and guys' years aren't going the way they want to, and they want more. So we lost a little bit of that commitment to being connected, and they kind of go hand in hand.
You kind of mentioned, going back toward the beginning about, I'm correct me, but I think it's something about we thought maybe it was going to be easier than it was. What did you mean by that? I can't imagine that these group of veterans would be overconfident. But what do you mean by you thought maybe it was going to be easier?
Well, yeah, and I think it leaked in the whole team. I think you see the signings, and I think we thought that chemistry was going to be easy, that we were playing fantasy hockey and we could put whoever together with whoever, and we're going to have big results, and the outside world's saying we're going to have a Stanley Cup and be a contender. We're going to be this, we're going to be that, we're going to be a high-powered offense. And I think, we thought it'd be a little easier than it was, that it would come more naturally, that, Stammer would have great chemistry with Marchie and Novi, and, whatever you want to bring. The power play is going to be off the charts because of what we added. And you try to warn them that it's going to be hard. It's hard to find chemistry, and it takes lots of different things. It takes a little selflessness. It takes hard work, it takes communication. And we did it, and it was not that we didn't want it. It didn't come easy. And when it doesn't come easy, unfortunately, that's where the frustration leaks in, and kind of like our whole team game. So that's kind of what I mean, where we thought it'd be a little bit easier.
You talked about how Luke Evangelista came on strong there at the end of the year. What more would you like to see from him as he's building out his career here?
Well, I'd like to see a little bit more what I saw at the end. I think to me, it's been 2 years. I think his start was pretty slow. So I think his commitment and he did commit. I thought he was in great shape coming in, but we have to find a reason why it's a little bit slow. And I think, we had a great talk today about it. So I think he needs to find it. I always think a little bit more explosiveness for him. He needs to find that. He needs a little bit that extra step to separate, so he can allow his hockey brain in his hands and his poise to take over. So those are the things we talked about. I think, confidence with him is a big thing. I felt he had it at the end of the year, and he struggled to have it most of the year. And that's a young player. And young players in their second year, it's hard. And again, no matter how many times I tell him it's going to be hard, you don't really understand it until you go through it. And I think he understood it as he went through it, and I'm expecting him to be ready for camp.
You mentioned it several times, some players have to, the 0-5 start, it's really a catalyst, big flag, things got so bold. But if you lose 5 in January, 5 around January, you probably don't even think about it. Why the difference? Why did that cause such chaos?
Yeah, I think it just, obviously we talked about expectations. So I think the start of the year always glamorizes it, where it's, you're 0-5. You lose 5 during the year. Hopefully you have a cushion for it, and it's, you're 20-20, and then you're 20-25 or whatever. I just think the pressure on this team coming in and the expectation and to come out of the gate like that was really hard. And it, again, saying we probably weren't ready for it. We thought it'd be a little bit easier. We thought, oh, don't worry about it. It's just going to take some time to get there. The urgency probably wasn't at the level that we needed. And when you're 0-5, pressure mounts, everybody starts wearing heavy. And, in hindsight, again, when you reflect, maybe I could have did things differently. And that's something I'm going to soul search to figure out. But it just glorifies the 0-5, because you haven't got to win yet. And we were at home. So it just built and built.
Andrew,
Despite your record and the challenges you faced, I asked your players this question, so I'm curious, what moment sticks out to you as a coach that you're most proud of, or a particular game that was your favorite this season?
Well, Nashville was pretty good. I think under circumstances in front of our home fans, I thought we played a really good game. And quote, it looked like kind of us. That looked like a game. It wasn't perfect, but I think we did a lot of things that I believe when we're playing well and playing our best, it looks like. So that for me sticks out, and we made recency bias. But that one, felt good. I thought before Christmas, I really liked the game against Carolina. We had a really good stretch before Christmas. I was excited that we found ourselves a little bit. You guys talked about a little bit the later did. When did you feel connected? I felt we were kind of there. And then we kind of came out and had a good game in St. Louis, but I liked our game the rest of the month, and we kind of got ourselves in a decent position to at least maybe strike. And then kind of the tail of the year, we go to Anaheim, outshoot them, probably outplay them, don't get anything out of it. Come home, I thought we played a great game against Vancouver, couldn't score. And I think that was the one that really hurt, that, okay, now reality sort of set in here. And to me, that was a little bit the turning point of when we would realize that, we might not get to where we want to go.
Andrew, I know Barry has used the term or the phrase kind of hoping this is a one-off season. And I think Steven just used it recently also. What gives you confidence, given the results that we saw this year, that this is indeed more of a one-off than something that would repeat itself?
Well, I think the character in the room. We've got a lot of really good players, a lot of really good proven winners over the years. I'm probably, not really a believer in one-off. I'm a believer in let's go back to work. And I believe in our group. I believe we're competitive people, we're in a competitive environment, and we're not happy where we are. And I expect them, and they're gonna rebound. But it's gonna take work for me to say it's a one-off. I can't, because we have to put the work in to make sure it is a one-off, and it's not gonna repeat itself. And that's sort of the message, because it's not gonna be any easier. You guys see our division, our conference, it's gonna be hard. So we have to ensure through our work, our commitment level, to be connected, has to be high, and has to go start right from the start, has to be right from day one in camp. We have to be ready to be committed to being unified, to being connected, if we want to make sure this isn't just or this is a one-off.
We'll take a few more. A little off topic, but just wanted to ask, hopefully, the answer is good, but how is your father doing?
Yeah, I think he's doing good. He just got back from the hospital yesterday, which is a real good sign. So hopefully he continues to progress. A little bit scary in a lot of different ways. Thank you for asking. Appreciate it.
And do you, if you're not in the playoffs, do you still watch hockey, or is that off limits for you now? Are you gonna watch?
Well, my wife doesn't want me watching hockey. She wants to watch other shows that don't really interest me too much. Yeah, you watch. You just find it. You're in this my whole life. It's hard to not, maybe if the Blue Jays are playing, I'll watch the Blue Jays, but if they're not playing, it's hard to take your eyes off hockey. And then it's hard because you get emotional because you wish you were playing, you wish you were in it, when you're not. You try not to watch for that case, but you end up watching.
Andrew, you guys obviously gave Novak a huge opportunity at the beginning of the year, it didn't work. O'Reilly, we all know how important he is, he's getting older. How do you view kind of where you're at organizationally with center depth, and what do you feel like has to happen there for that to improve as you move forward here?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're very fortunate to have Ryan O'Reilly. Man, he's just a great competitor. He kind of epitomizes our group down the stretch every weekend, but he took it upon his shoulders every night down that stretch. I like to play his best hockey in the year. So I always feel good when we have him up the middle. Obviously Novi, was a tough stretch for him to start the year, and you're excited about Svetch, what you've seen. I thought he progressed. Obviously he's a young player in this league in a top position in face-offs, defensive zone, all that kind of thing. I thought he handled himself really well, and I'm looking forward to him taking another step. He's still got Sis and Big Mac that I feel very comfortable with, and might have to tweak a little bit of the identity of what we are, and that's something we'll figure out alongside Barry as we go forward, where we're at in that position. And Stammer played in the middle. I thought, at times played really well through there. But, skating was really good, created, offensively, so that's another option. So that's, 5 options through the middle of the ice. And again, working alongside Barry here, hopefully, find another solution. That'd be great. If not, I feel comfortable with what we have moving forward.
The draft's coming, I'm sure the draft guys are gonna have high pick. How much of when you pick that high, can you have somebody come in and these holes that we're talking about? Do you feel pretty confident you can fill 1 or 2 of those holes? Or one of those holes?
I'm not, that's such a hard question. I'm not sure. Obviously we're silver lining of this year, we should get a really good player. The top 5, top 3. Maybe we don't one. If you're gonna go through this, you might as well make sure you're the top end guy. So looking forward to the process. If you can help me right away, I don't know. But it's probably not long in the NHL where these kids are ready to play at young ages. We see every year they come in, they're rooting for this. It's different than when I came through, as an 18-year-old that played. So it's just changed. So, I'm excited who we get, and see how that goes from there.
We'll take 2 more, and I'll try one.
Yeah, I was just kind of building off Robbie's question from earlier on the centers. Steven played a lot more center this season than he had for several years. Did you like it? Would you like to see that again, or in a perfect world, do you like to see him go back to wing? Yeah, I liked it. I think it's a hard position when you haven't played in a long time, and then we move him into this situation where it's a different system than he's used to. So there's a lot of play. I commend him for trying it, and I thought again
we didn't have a lot of speed for the middle of the ice as a center. I thought he brought that. And him, Phil, and Archie there had 6-8 weeks of really good hockey. So I think he definitely can play there. He's good on face-offs and all those things, and he can play the wing. So it's a little bit of luxury. Obviously, you'd love to commit to one or the other at a certain point. And again, time will dictate that, and keep working very, see what happens. And we'll try to get ahead of it a little bit. This year we kind of threw it on, kind of a necessity. So hopefully we give him a good stretch of time to think about it and get back accustomed and work on some of the little things that I think he needs to work on in his own help.
What's your message to the fans? Obviously, we're sticking with you here, but it's, it's a tough year for them too. So moving ahead into next year, what's your message to the fans?
Well, one, we appreciate their support, and I've said this, I've played in this building since day one, not just for Nashville, for other teams I've coached in here. And of course, we feel bad for them, but we're also grateful for them. I think they hung in there with us, and I think the product and the care and effort that our team put out there wasn't always perfect, but we competed, and the effort was there. And I think one thing I know through Nashville all these years is that they for sure want to win, and for sure they're disappointed. But if you give an honest effort, you compete and work, they're maybe not okay with it, but they appreciate it. And again, we're grateful for their last game. I didn't know what to expect this week, but I think I saw Nashville fans come in, and the way they cheered in those games was pretty cool. It's a special place to play. It's a special building to play. I wish we could have had more success for them, but in the future, hopefully we do. But we appreciate